Hello, I'm Mike, and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're looking at issue 18 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine today. This issue came with 10 more Termagants and another Ripper Swarm. This actually finishes off the Tyranid Combat Patrol if you bought it on the box, though we still have one more model coming up in the next issue. And you'll be able to see our new Termagants as they skitter onto the battlefield in today's game. So first up we have the painting guide for our new models. These are exactly the same as the other Termagants we got, so you can just follow the previous build guide. And the painting guide is going to be much the same, with a Wraithbone undercoat, Baratnar Burgundy for the carapaces, and some details like Abaddon Black for the claw-like appendages and the hooves and such things, and bits of the gun casing as well, and then Squig Orange for the gun. So you can see the models up to this point. And then we learn a bit about types of worlds that make up the Imperium, the vast majority of which are actually hive worlds. So you have these vast spires that house billions of humans, cities built upon cities, where the nobility swan about at the upper levels, whereas the poorer people have to survive in the dangerous lower levels. And often things like industrial runoff can cause mutations and various maladies to the population. And there's often very little law enforcement. As such, various gangs in the lower levels will control various areas and fight over territory. But because these worlds are so dangerous, the inhabitants do make good soldiers for the Astra Militarum, or perhaps even the Space Marines if they're lucky enough. And then we also learn about Deathworld, which are also extremely dangerous worlds, often due to a natural disaster or alien invasion. You can see there the Catachan jungle fighters from Catachan, which is a planet-wide jungle filled with many hostile predators. So much like the Hive worlds, the inhabitants of these planets do make ideal candidates for the Astra Militarum and the Space Marines, and many Space Marine chapters have their home worlds on Deathworlds. And then we have a little bit about Baal and Fenris. So Baal is the homeworld of the Blood Angels chapter, a desert planet. It's been scoured by viral and nuclear weapons, where the scattered nomadic clans of scavengers, their only hope of getting off the planet is to become a Blood Angel. And then Fenris is a world of brutal and extreme cold, the homeworld of the Space Wolves chapter. And carrying on with chapters, we have successor chapters. So these each descend from one of the 9 original first founding chapters, made from the gene seed of their parent chapter, but they often form their own distinct culture separate from the original. And we learn about 9 successor chapters. There's actually one here for each of the 9 first foundings. I'm not going to go over all of them. You can pause and zoom in and read if you want to. We have the Unnamed, the Dark Hunters, the Wolf Spear, the Black Templars, the Flesh Terrors, the Sons of Medusa, the Silver Templars, the Dark Krakens, and the Raptors, who are successors of the Dark Angels, the White Scars, the Space Wolves, the Imperial Fists, the Blood Angels, the Iron Hands, the Ultramarines, the Salamanders, and the Raven Guard, respectively. And finally, we learn about the Shadow in the Warp. So this is also learning a bit about the Warp, which is a sort of dimension of dreams and desires that pretty much all living creatures are connected to. And this applies to the Tyranids as well, except because the Tyranids have this synaptic link, they appear as a sort of vast swarm of dark shadows, hence the name The Shadow in the Warp. And the way this manifests is as a Tyranid swarm approaches a planet, psychically gifted individuals on the planet sense its coming as sort of looming dread. Long-distance communication is often conducted psychically, and the Shadow in the Warp will actually disrupt communication to a planet by blocking it out. So once a Tyranid swarm descends on a planet, they are no longer able to call for help, and all the psychic people on the planet are driven mad by the presence of the swarm. We'll now hand you over to Will, where we're learning about some new datasheet abilities for our Tyranids.
So in this issue we get some more datasheet abilities for our Tyranid units. Some of the rules you'll find on the data cards that we've got for them already. So to start, we have one for the Winged Tyranid Prime. It says Death Frenzy here, but the actual rule on the datasheet is called Death Blow, so they've just made a mistake here, but the rules are the same. When the Tyranid Prime is slain by a melee attack, you roll a dice, and on a 4+, it can fight before being removed from play, so you can just make its melee attacks as though it was still alive, as long as it hasn't already fought in that phase. So in this example, the Captain kills it, but it hasn't fought yet, and on a 4+, it can fight him back before it is removed from the board. Then we have Disruption Bombardment, which is the rule for the Barbed Gaunts. Because of their heavy bombardment explosive spores, they disrupt the movement of enemy troops that they target. So after they've shot, you pick one of the units that they scored 1 or more hits against, and until the end of your opponent's next turn, that unit has to reduce its movement characteristic as well as any advance and charge rolls by 2 inches. So in this example, the Captain is shot at by the Barbed Gaunts, and then with his reduced movement and charge roll causes him to fail a charge. And then we have the Termagants Skulking Horrors rule, which means that once per turn, when an enemy unit moves and finishes a move within 9 inches of them, they can make a normal move of up to d6 inches. So when you choose to use this rule, you roll a d6 and they can move up to that distance. In this example, moving away from the Captain who's moved closer to them. And finally we have the Feeding Frenzy rule from the Psychophage, which is actually not correctly described here. Ignore what it says here. What it should actually do is when it attacks a unit that is below starting strength, it adds +1 to hit, and if it attacks a unit that is below half strength, then it adds 1 to wound rolls against that unit as well, with melee attacks. So their example is correct, but it misses out the part about being below starting strength. And then we have our scenario Monster Hunt. So after a Titanic battle, presumably the one that we played through in the last issue, only the Captain in Terminator armour and the Winged Tyranid Prime are left alive, and they're still fighting as more reinforcements arrive. So for our Space Marines we'll have the Captain in Terminator armour, the Librarian in Terminator armour, and 5 Infernus Marines. The Tyranids have all of their units except the Psychophage, and includes the 10 new Termagants, so we'll have 2 units of 10. And the board is arrayed like this. We've got the impassable terrain in the top of the board, with objective 1 in the centre of it, the barricade cover providing terrain down the bottom, with objectives 2 and 3 to either side of it, and the Captain and the Winged Tyranid Prime have to be deployed as shown on the map, beginning the game already in melee. Deployment zones as the Space Marines on the left in blue, and the Tyranids on the right in pink. And we have the usual victory conditions. You get 5 victory points for controlling 1 objective, 5 for controlling 2 or more objectives, and 5 for controlling more objectives than your opponent does at the end of your command phase. And as usual, we have a couple of example turns. In this instance, the Tyranids are going first, but it doesn't specify, so we will be rolling off for that. And then onto the Space Marines' turn, and the little box in the bottom right explains that the game will go on for 4 battle rounds in total. And of course we have our victory outcomes out the back that you can have a look at or save until after the game, but we will set up the board and models and get straight into it. So here is our board. We've already deployed, so you can see where all the models are, but the objectives, 1 up in the top of the middle, and then 2 to the bottom left, 3 to the bottom right. But the Captain and the Tyranid Prime down here amongst all of the barricades. And then the Space Marine deployment. There's the Librarian in the corner of the deployment zone, and the Infernus Marines in the middle. And the other side is a whole horde of Gribbly Tyranids.
Yeah, so I've got the new unit of Termagants at the top. They're hiding behind the terrain feature. Barbed ones are positioned so that they can see the Infernus Marines to shoot at them. My other units are effectively trying to hide them behind the terrain in case the Space Marines go first. So the Von Ryan's Leapers nearer the middle, and the other unit of Termagants poised to pounce on objective 3.
So all that leaves is to roll off to see who does get the first turn. Oh, I've got a 6 for the Space Marines.
I only got a 2.
So, by the rules, I now must go first, so into Space Marines turn 1. So we both gained a command point, no victory points yet because I didn't hold any objectives at the start. Librarian has moved over to hold objective 2 there, and the Captain is going to stay in melee with the Tyranid Prime, because falling back would mean he'll just get charged and attacked anyway, and the Tyranid Prime will be able to go somewhere else. And the Infernus Marines advanced because if they moved up normally, the only thing they could see would not be in range, so they might as well advance and get all of them on the objective, even though it's probably not going to end too well for them. Somebody has to hold the objective. The only shooting I have is the Librarian though, and he can just about see the unit of Termagants over on the far side. So he'll just use his Smite power on them, and the Stormbolter, I will use just the normal, non-focused Witchfire Smite. Start with the Stormbolter, 2 shots hitting on 3s, they do, and they wound on 3s as well. They do. But the Termagants will get cover from here because one of the big Tyranid terrain pieces is obscuring them.
Yeah, so we have 4+ saves. May both.
And d6 shots from Smite 1, which hits on a 3. It does, it wounds on a 3, strength 5 this version. It does, it's an AP of -1, but again with cover.
5+. No.
D3 damage, but they've only got 1 wound, kills 1. The Infernus Marines can't shoot because they advance, so it'll just be the Captain in melee next. But he didn't charge, so the Tyranid Prime will get to fight him first.
Pile into base contact, and then he's got 6 attacks on 2s, which all hit. Wounding on 3s, I believe, because he's strength 6. That's 4 wounds at AP -1.
For 3+ saves. We failed 2, that will be 4 damage. I think I'll spend my command point to reroll one of those. Needing a 3+, yes we do. So we only take 2 wounds, down to 4. And I will also have 6 attacks on 2s. So we get a miss, and wounding on 4s. 4 wounds as well, so that's not too bad.
So we're looking for 6s. Need to make at least 2 of these. Didn't make any, so he's dead, and he's already fought, so he doesn't get to try and fight again.
So that's the state of the board at the end of Space Marines turn 1. On to Tyranids turn 1.
So my movement, Barbed ones are going to stay where they are. This squad of Termagants that is still at full strength is going to form an orderly queue to get down the corridor towards objective 1, and they did advance. I just get one of them within range of the objective while staying an inch away from the Marines. The Leapers are coming into the middle. They might have to finish off those Marines later on, and then the other unit of Termagants near objective 3 is just going to move over there and hold objective 3. In the shooting phase, I'm going to do the Barbed Gaunts first. They're going to split fire. One of them is going to shoot at the Captain, because I want to make use of its Disruption Bombardment ability, whereas the other 4 are all going to shoot at the Infernus Marines. Captain, there's 5 shots on him, hitting on 3s 4 hits.
That is enough to trigger the Disruption Bombardment. They don't actually have to do any more.
That's the important part. Wounding on 4s. 1 wound, no AP.
With a 2+ save. Yeah, he's fine from that, but yes, the Disruption Bombardment will affect him now.
Yeah, I think I'll choose him as a target because I'm not too worried about the Infernus Marines. And then the 4d6 shots on the Infernus Marines, and this is an extra +1 each because they have 5 models. 21 shots hitting on 3s. With 16 hits, wounding on 3s. It's going to be 12 wounds at no AP.
12, 3+ saves. Failing 4, so we lose 2 Infernus Marines. I'll re-roll one of those failures because if I succeed, we only lose 1 Marine. Oh, still failed, so command point is wasted. 10
Termagants in their little corridor are all going to shoot the Marines as well. 10 shots on 4s, 4 hits, and 3s to wound, getting 2, no AP.
2 more saves, failed 1, another wound.
9 shots from the other unit on the Captain. Again on 4s, 4 hits, and wounding on 4. 2 wounds, no AP.
2+, may both.
And then we'll be on to the charge phase where the Leapers will charge the Infernus Marines. It'll be in with a 7. Yeah, so their charge is going to have to be like that. I think I can only get 1 into fight because we don't know about being able to fight within base contact with one of your friends, so I only get 6 attacks. 6 attacks on 3s, getting 5, and 3s to wound, getting 3 at -1.
3, 4+ saves. Failed 2, so the wounded Marine dies, another one takes a wound. So only 2 Marines left, so they can both fight the Leapers. 6 attacks on 3s. 4 hits wounding on 5s. Oh, 3.
4+ saves. Made 2, so Leaper takes a wound.
But that'll be it for the turn. So we'll be on to Space Marines turn 2. In my command phase, well, we're both getting a command point, but then the Infernus Marines have to take a battle shock test. Leadership 6+, and an 11 is good. Although that doesn't actually matter all that much because there are more Tyranids on Objective 1 than there are Space Marines, because the Termagants are OC2 each. So I'll only hold this one objective with the Librarian and get 5 victory points. And then for my movement, the Librarian's just moving a little bit closer. The Captain's moving towards the Von Ryan's Leapers. With his reduced move, there's no real way he can get to Objective 3. He'd have to hard roll a 12 on the charge roll. So he can deal with the Leapers for now, and the 2 remaining Infernus Marines are going to fall back because they don't want to fight the Leapers anymore. They can't really actually hold Objective 1, but we might as well at least make it so the Barbwalks can't shoot us. But speaking of shooting, the Librarian will use Focused Witchfire Smite on the Von Ryan's Leapers, and he'll shoot a Stormbolter at the Termagants on Objective 3. So Smite, d6 shots, all 6.
Ooh.
Hitting on 4s though, because they have stealth. Oh, so only 2. Wounding on 3s. 2 at -2. The one who's wounded doesn't have cover because he's out in the open.
So Marv is 6+. Nuke.
D3 damage on him. 2, so that'll kill it. And then the other 2 will have cover.
On one that's in cover has a 5+. Nope. You know what? I've got loads of command points, so I'll re-roll it. No.
D3 damage on that one. Just 1. 2 Stormbolter shots at Termagants. Oh, they both missed. And then we'll do the hazardous test for using Focused Smite. Didn't roll a 1. And the Captain is within 12 inches of the Termagants on Objective 3, so we'll shoot a Stormbolter at them. 4 shots on 2s. Yes. And 3s to wound. 2.
No cover, so 5s. Well, both. 2 dead.
Infernus Marines can't shoot, obviously, so we're on to the charge phase. The Captain will charge the Von Ryan's Leapers, but he is -2 to this roll, remember. So if he rolls probably a 2 or a 3, he might actually fail, but he can re-roll thanks to his rule. So that's actually a modified 3 with a 5 -2, but that will be enough. So the Captain gets in like that, but the Leapers will get to fight first because they have fights first, and it's not their turn.
6 attacks on 3s, getting 5 hits, and wounding on 4s. No, only 1. All those 1s.
So only 1 3+ save, which we made, and then the Captain has 6 attacks hitting on 2s. He gets 5 hits. You know what, I'll actually spend my command point to re-roll that 1 as well, see if we get another hit. We do, so 6. And then we'll be wounding on 4s because they're toughness 5. We've got 5. The Captain at least is doing quite well today.
6s. Nope, didn't make any, so they're all going to die, even if I re-roll one, I think.
But the Captain can consolidate, and he's going to do so towards Objective 1. It's still held by the Tyranids, but getting there. Well, that was the end of Space Marines turn 2, on to Tyranids turn 2. So the Tyranids still holding Objective 1, they hold more than the Space Marines and get the maximum of 15 this turn.
So for my movement, this unit of Termagants up at the top is advanced. They're all of 5. They're just running through the corridor, and the back end can still hold the objective for the next turn. The other unit of Termagants also advanced to move into the space where the Captain and the Tyranid Prime were fighting, because we're going to try and head towards Objective 2, while the Barbwalks move over to hold Objective 3. Then in the shooting phase, the Barbwalks are going to shoot the Librarian along with that other unit of Termagants down the bottom. 5d6 shots from the Barb Gaunts, 17 shots hitting on 4s. 8 hits, wounding on 4s. That's 3 wounds, maybe.
2+ saves for the Librarian. He fails 1, so he will be down to 4 wounds.
And then 7 shots from the unit of Termagants on 4s, getting 2. And 4s, getting 1.
Another save. He's fine.
And then with the other squad, these 5 can all see a Marine, the Infernus Marine, so we'll shoot them, and then the 3 at the front can all shoot the Librarian as well. 3 shots on the Librarian, on 4s, and 2, and 4s, 1.
2+, yes.
5 shots on the Infernus Marines. I'll take 4 hits, save my reroll for 1 rolls. Wounding on 3s, oh yeah, I'll definitely reroll one of them. 2 wounds, no AP.
3s on Infernus Marines, we made both.
But that's going to be it. The 2 Termagants advance, so they can't charge.
So on to Space Marines turn 3. Infernus Marines need to make another Battle Shock test. They pass again, but that's still not going to affect my control of Objective 1 because there's too many Termagants on it, so I still only have Objective 2 for 5 victory points. So the Captain's going to move to here.
And I'm going to have both the units use their Skulking Horrors as a result of that.
Because the Captain finished a normal move within 9 inches of both units.
At the top first gets to go d6, or 1, and then the other unit gets to go 2. Wow, mighty rolls.
So the top unit is making a little bit further through the corridor, and the bottom unit is moving away from the Captain a little bit. And the Librarian was disrupted by the Barb Gaunts, so he can't move more than 3 inches, but that's okay because he needs to stand on Objective 2 anyway. And the 2 Infernus Marines are staying where they are, but that's okay because they're going to shoot the Termagants in front of them in the shooting phase. 2d6 automatic hits. Whoa, 11. Wounding on 3s. Ooh, 9 wounds, and they ignore cover.
9 5+ saves. 4. I'll reroll one of these. No, 5 dead. I'll take the wounds off the front just so the Marines have to come and fight me in melee if they want to take the objective.
That also means the Librarian can't see them, so we'll do the Captain, we'll shoot at that same unit. 4 shots on this at this range, hitting on 2s. 3 hits, wounding on 3s, 3 wounds. I think 2 will have cover from the point of view of the Captain.
So 2 4+ with cover, failed 1, and so the 2 in cover die.
And then we do have the Librarian. He's going to shoot a Stormbolter at the other unit of Termagants, and he will use Focused Witchfire to shoot the Barb Gaunts on the other side. Stormbolter first. Oh, they all hit. 3s to wound. Ooh, 4.
5s. Made 1, 3 dead.
And some Smite at the Barb Gaunts. D6 shots, just 1 this time, which hits on a 3. Oh, it missed. Hey, I'll reroll that because I don't have any particular use in mind for those. Yes, that did hit now. Wounds on a 3. Yes, -2.
6. Boop.
D3 damage, 3. Well, it's got a 2 wound Barb Gaunt, and then Hazardous Test. Oh, he's fine again with a 2. On to the charge phase. The Captain will declare a charge against the 4 remaining Termagants down the bottom of the board here. Not disrupted anymore, so he gets a full charge roll, but he rolled a 2. Fortunately, he gets to reroll for free thanks to his unstoppable valour. He rolls a 3. That's not enough. So the Captain has to stay where he is because he needed a 4. And the 2 remaining Infernus Marines will charge these 3 Termagants. Unfortunately, because of the confines of the corridor, they don't need to roll, but only one will be able to fight, because the one at the back is not within an inch. So the Sergeant will have 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. He missed. I'll spend my last command point to reroll that, because he kind of needs to kill all of them. So they do all hit, wounding on 3s. We've got failed a wound, so only got 2 going through.
5+ armour, made 1. You know what, I'll reroll that. Made both.
So no dead Termagants. But all 3 Termagants can pile in and be in range.
3 attacks on 4s. Woo!
And that will be that for Space Marines turn 3, on to Tyranids turn 3.
So the Termagants need to make a Battle Shock test, which is important because it's going to determine how many victory points I get. I need to roll an 8+, and I can't reroll this, at least I don't recall being able to. Double 1, they failed, so I don't hold Objective 1.
So that's only 5 victory points, because that will just be 1, which is the same number as the Space Marines.
Yeah. And the other Termagants have to make a Battle Shock test. They passed. So I'm going to leave these Termagants up at the top in melee because I think they're not really going to be relevant. I could fall them back, but I could risk them all dying when they make desperate escape tests because they're battle shocked. The squad at the bottom has moved towards the Librarian. We're basically going to have to try and charge him to take Objective 2 to try and stop the Marines holding that and hope at least one of them lives. While the Barb Gaunts have rearranged themselves to form a line against the edge of the board because we're going to be shooting up the Captain so that he is disrupted and can't move to take Objective 3.
Yeah, because as it stands right now, provided the Infernus Marines pass their Battle Shock tests, I'll be gaining 15 points. And the Tyranids, if they don't lose Objective 3, will gain 5, and it will be a draw. The Tyranids need to take the Space Marines control of one of the 2 objectives that they do hold in order to win the game. That's why all these moves are as they are.
Shooting, the Bargaunts are all going to shoot the captain. 46 shots. That one is cocked. 17 shots hitting on 4s, because we did move. 7 hits, only on 4s. Ooh, 5 wounds.
5 2+ saves. Captain takes a wound. I'll take that, because he's not really much threat anymore.
And 4 shots from the Termagants on the captain. Well, they all hit. Oh. There you got 1 wound.
He's fine.
And in the charge phase, the Termagants are going to charge the Librarian.
Yes, if any one of them survives, they will take the objective.
Yeah, assuming I roll high enough on the charge to get over the barricade. They roll a 7. So that's the result of their charge. At least one of them has to survive at the back there to hold the objective.
But there are now 2 in range of it, so the Librarian has to kill all of them.
And they do get to fight, and there's an extremely slim chance they'll kill him. We got 1 melee, 1 hit. Wounded.
Oh, 2+. Oh, he's fine. Then it's my pick, because nobody else charged, so I'll do these 2 Marines up here who haven't been attacked yet. They can both fight now. 6 attacks on 3s, getting 4. And 3s to wound, getting 4.
5s. Nope, failed 3. They're all gone.
But that doesn't matter because those Termagants weren't holding the objective anyway. So it's just the Librarian to fight. He does need to kill all 4 Termagants. Well, he hit 4 times, which is a good start. Wounds on 2s because he's strength 6 with his force weapon. They did all wound and they are AP of -1.
So we need to make 6s. I haven't rolled any, so I've got to re-roll 1. Ugh. Get it in the box. Yes!
Oh no! So 1 Termagant lives. But in Space Marines turn 4, we all roll the Battle Shock test for the Infernus Marines because if they fail, it's irrelevant anyway. Oh, they actually failed, and they can't re-roll. So they didn't hold that, so the Space Marines have 0 objectives and get nothing. So the likely Space Marine turn is that Termagant dies, but even if the Captain manages to make a charge on the Bargaunts, even if I do take Objective 3 from the Tyranids, it doesn't matter, because that will be my last turn and I don't score any points, and I'm already behind. So it'll be a Tyranid victory, even though there's barely any beasties left on the board, and we'll recap that for you now. So that was the game for issue 18 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. How did you think that went?
I feel like I was pretty fairly lucky to eke out a victory, but then again, especially if I'd gone first, I think I just have so many Termagants whose OC value is so high that if I just go up 2 objectives with Termagants, you're going to spend the entire game trying to get rid of them all. And I killed off most of your Infernus Marines, so that's your main unit for actually taking objectives. Well, I think if I'd gone first, this would have been a much more foregone conclusion early on. Your captain had a really good game in melee, but then he failed an important charge. And I think I was probably fairly lucky to get a Termagant to survive and not be battle shocked in combat with the Librarian. It ended up not actually mattering because you failed your battle shock test in Objective 1 anyway, so...
Yeah, if he'd made that charge, those Termagants would have been dead. Although, having said that, that wouldn't have mattered either, because as we said, the Infernus Marines still failed their battle shock test, and that was what I needed to get the points to potentially just get a draw even. If you'd held on to Objective 3, you still would have won regardless. If you'd gone first, you probably just flown the Tyranid Prime away from the captain and stood on Objective 2 or something just to be annoying. And...
Yeah, could have fallen him back towards Objective 2 and then gummed up both of the objectives with Termagants, and the Leapers would have been in the middle, and I probably would have sent them first past Objective 1 to try and charge the Infernus Marines. I mean, the captain would have have free reign, but he can only be in one place at a time. It
actually went better than I thought it was going to, being in with a chance of a win at all, because compared to some of the previous games, I had the 2 characters and the Infernus Marines and not the Terminators, who usually do most of the damage most of the time. Whereas you had nearly the entire combat patrol minus the Psychophage. I'm sure we've had a game before where I had these forces and you had less than this and you still did quite well. So, and once again, I had 3 units to try and hold, well, 2 objectives at least, but 3, and then one of those still only being 5 Marines who aren't that tough when you do it a lot of shooting at them.
Well, it's all the fact that you have a total OC of 7 and you need to spread it across 3 objectives. So once your Marines were down to 2 men, your Infernus Marines, a single Termagant is enough to contest an objective. Although my leadership is fairly bad, so there's a good chance that I won't be able to contest them anyway, but still.
And then we did see the Skulking Horrors rule at least, which allowed Termagants to move a little bit. You can use that to move back, but you can also use it to move forwards or towards an objective, so there's plenty of options with that. And I guess it actually did matter, because even that 2 inches of movement from the unit of 4 Termagants meant the captain failed his charge.
Yeah, and if I'd gotten a bigger roll for the unit at the top, I probably would have gotten most of the Termagants out through the corridor to go and annoy the Librarian. Also, being able to assault and still shoot, and being able to move when the enemy gets near them, it helps keep them safe and still lets them put out a little bit of damage. And actually the disruption bombardment from the barb gaunts came in really handy as well, especially shooting at Terminators because they're so slow. I mean, even against the infantry, it's a pretty useful ability. It makes them much more useful than just chipping wounds off Marines. It makes them much more useful as a support unit, and also you can always just have one of them shoot at the target you want to disrupt, and then the rest of them shoot at a target you might want them to damage. I mean, the Tyranids already felt fairly mobile compared to the Marines, and now it just makes the Termagants more mobile and makes the Marines less mobile, compounding on the issues that the Marines have against the Tyranids.
And obviously we didn't get to see the Tyranid Prime fight on death because he'd already fought and just died in one round of melee.
I mean, it's nice to have, I suppose.
Yeah, it's not reliable because it's only a 50-50 chance, but it does mean there's a little bit more danger of attacking him first, as he might still strike back.
I mean, ideally, with his ability to fly and his high movement, you want him to be getting the charge, because then if he survives your turn, he'll get to fight first in your opponent's turn anyway. So I guess it's a nice fallback to have, but I wouldn't rate it too highly. And the Feeding Frenzy on the Psychophage is just a useful buff to it. Makes it even deadlier in melee. And it's already fairly good against Marines and just makes it even better.
Yeah, we'll obviously see that when we next see it. And then obviously we got another 10 Termagants and another Ripper Swarm, although the Ripper Swarm isn't relevant for combat patrol. It fills out the Tyranid combat patrol more.
Having 2 units with a really high OC value is quite handy for holding objectives. I mean, their leadership is terrible, so do you have to babysit them a bit?
And normally combat patrol would be played on a board twice this size, so you can imagine the benefit of having 2 objective holding units that aren't necessarily going to be that close together, and they can follow up the more dangerous things.
Yeah, because I think you can choose to take them as a unit of 20 normally, or 2 units of 10. Probably run them as 2 units of 10, just so they can be in 2 places at once. And the models are all exactly the same, which is fine for Tyranids because you get the endless swarm of identical creatures.
Yeah, and there are enough individual poses as well.
Yeah, they all have a unique pose, but it doesn't really matter too much for an army like this.
But anyway, that will be it for this video and this issue, I think. So let us know what you thought in the comments below. Let us know how you've been getting on with your Tyranids, seeing as this is now technically the full combat patrol we've got, minus the extra character who isn't normally part of it. Leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye for now.